All right. Well, we are officially live for the premiere. Hello there, Mr. Rich.
How you doing, brother?
Well, and yourself?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm glad to be
Good,
joining you
good.
for the first time today, man. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
absolutely,
great.
man. First time ever
First
anywhere.
time
We
ever
are
having this thing going.
pretty good, actually, man. So we are live on YouTube and Facebook. We're talking, so we got a lot to kind of cover. We got a wonderful guest here, Mr. Nick Barajas. Thank him so much for joining us. We'll bring him in shortly. But yeah, we kind of wanted to walk into this sort of enterprise together, but with the tragic passing of Fred Sparkman. You called me. You were like, "Hey, we
Yeah,
we,
man.
we just got to go."
Yeah, I was. This is something that we wanted to do for many reasons, man. I think that there's a lot of things we can do with this platform to help people to get people to come together, just camaraderie, to check in with each other, just to what I mean. A lot of different things that I know we can do. Some we'll talk about tonight, some we'll talk about later. But tonight, I felt like we need to get this going because yo, and so excuse me, because Fred was one of my better friends growing up. You know what I mean? You grow up and and everybody's got to live their life. Everybody's got to be adults and go out their path. But even in the midst of that, you know, he and I cross paths every few months. You know what I mean? We had our own relationships for our own reasons, and Fred is my loved one. He always will be. You know what I mean? Um, and just the fact that this happened, I would have never. Fred is one of the strongest guys I know. You know what I mean? When I say one of the
Mm,
strongest guys I know, I mean mentally, physically, um, Jesus.
sorry.
He he was it. You know what I mean? When we were coming up, he was the model to be. He was what you walked after. You know, um, and if any sort of demon or any sort of anything that might haunt the mind or any circumstance, if it can get too hard for him, that's it's a wow moment, it's a wake up moment, you know what I mean? And I say if it can get too hard for him, but I'm human just like everybody else, man, and I felt every emotion that you can feel just like anybody else,
Right.
um but we need to bring awareness to it, man. We cannot be in these dark places and have nowhere to go. You know what I mean? If you got no family, no friends, they got hotlines. You know what I mean? People you can call, won't judge you. They don't know you. You know what I mean? This platform, I'm hoping that hey, you catch us live. You know what I mean? We going live. You call in, talk to us. We want to talk to you. We love you. You know what I mean? I don't know you, but hey, introduce yourself. Let's chop it up. Let's talk. You know what I mean? And I mean that. You know what I mean? When we do this and we get to dropping that link in the comment, when you see that link pinned in the comment, um, hit that link. Hit that link. When you see that link right there, you know what I mean. That allows you to chime in with us. You know what I mean. And we want to hear what you got to say. You know what I mean. We definitely want to know how you feel about this. We want to hear some of your stories about Fred. You know what I mean. I got a million. You know what I mean. Some I can say, some I can't. You know what I mean. But man, I want to hear some of your stories. You know what I mean. I also I want to celebrate him, and I want to bring awareness to what we can do for each other as a community to help each other, in a real way.
Absolutely. And I hope everyone can see that okay. But at the bottom in the scroll, we have the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. 800-273-8255. Again, 800-273-8255. And if you have any story you want to share, anything positive you want to share, we'll bring our guest on. You can bug him with his magnificent beard and ask him some questions. Hopefully we as a collective can help each other get to a better place, right? Because I don't know what that
Absolutely.
looks like. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that looks like. I mean, even for myself, I know how I feel sometimes, but I'll do the whole smile and nod and hey, how you doing? Because I feel like I don't want to bother people with my whatever I'm feeling. But
Absolutely.
hopefully we can come to some sort of agreement on how to discuss these things, either privately or publicly. And this is our attempt at it. And hopefully this helps. Now, we do some house cleaning things as I remove that ticker. Well, we can keep it going. So the family of Fred Sparkman, they all got together and decided, going off of their post there, they decided to instead of doing GoFundMe and things like that, that they will be using this cash app here. It's
What's
the
that
Great
cash
Boxer
app?
Sammy. Yes,
I'm gonna
sir.
go and get it started, man. I'm gonna hit that thing off myself first. I'm real big on, you know what I mean. I don't like to. I ain't gonna throw somebody cash app out there and ask nobody else to hit it up and this and that, and I ain't hitting
Right.
myself. So I'm gonna hit that thing first. So y'all join suit, follow suit, man. You know what I mean. If this was any one of y'all families, man, I would hope that somebody would do the same type of thing to help out. You know what I mean. This is you don't plan this, you know. So you know, help out, man. Don't just talk.
Right.
That's one of the problems with our communities. We talk too much. Do you know what I
Just
mean?
do it.
Do.
Yeah.
So let
And
me get that.
I like the idea. So there's this, of course, the great boxer, his Fred Sparkman's father, Sammy Sparkman. They're on Cash App. We'd like for you to add in the note, some sort of hashtag Legends Never Die. Okay,
Absolutely,
just show you love to them. You cross their paths,
absolutely.
check on them, hit them up on Facebook, everything. And I will tell you, man, you were talking about stories that you can and can't share about Fred Sparkman. I have one or two. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
but, yeah, one of my favorite stories. So I'm sitting there, out of the football season, running track. And I'm using the term run very liberally there. All right. So I was on the track team. I did all the heavy stuff throwing, right? Although
Mhm.
I did run the 100 once, and we don't have enough time to really talk about how long it took me to actually cross that line, but we were short and I did it. So I tell my kids to this day, yeah, I ran track. But I remember just standing there and I don't know what, I was just kind of dazed off. And then all of a sudden I was sideways, right? And then like all of a sudden I was up, I was sideways, and a quick rush to the ground right before the ground, and someone just laid me down. And so I get up, I'm hot, and it's him just smiling. Hey, what's up, man? It's like I thought if it was anybody else. But like you gotta think, I was big. I'm a big dude now. I was big then,
Yeah,
even in high school. But we often talk about the athletic accolades, right? Because it's so easy to spot. You see him run across a field on the court somewhere, it just looks like, oh, that's the dude who knows what he's doing out there, right?
yeah, man.
But for the people who were privileged enough to get that smile from him, I can't even describe how warming it was. Like it was some sort of weird like assurance of like, yeah, man, you got it. You know, we played ball against each other. We're rivals, so there was a lot of trash talk. I mean, mostly him because I'm not really good at that. I'm not quick enough.
Yeah,
But yeah, anytime I got that smile, it was just like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna be okay. You know. So my main thing is with this show, with our guests, hopefully coming to try to figure out like where. I don't want to say it that way because I don't want to go down the path of people like, oh, I wish I would have, oh, if I'd have called, maybe I could have saved his life and all that sort of thing.
well, I mean, and I feel you on that, and that's not what we're here for. We're
Right.
not here, because we could be here all day. Everybody could have done something. You know what I mean? Everybody could have done something. But everybody has a life. Everybody was living their life. Everybody was doing what they had to do, is what I'm assuming. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? One of the things that I would want to talk about is individuals asking for help and knowing it's okay to ask for help. You know what I mean? Genuinely, if you
Mm-hmm.
if you watching this and you know my face and you know I know you, if you reach out to me for help, I'm not gonna push you away. I'm gonna try to find a way to help you. You know what I mean? Especially if I feel like you at a place where you really need this help. You know what I mean? There's people who ask for things and they don't need nothing, and a lot of us can see that. But
Mm-hmm.
when a person is genuine, and if a person comes to you genuinely and they can help you, I want to be able to help them. You know what I mean? I think that some of the
Right.
problems that maybe were happening, and things happen in a lot of people's lives. But I want this platform to be a place to where, hey, if there's a small problem that one of us has, and we're all on this platform together, we should have a large enough community amongst each other that we could solve that problem before we leave here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's the type of community I want to build. You know what I mean? I want people who understand that concept.
Absolutely. I think it's a great segue. Let's get our special guest on, before he flees. We're trying to
Absolutely.
sneak him on here, and hopefully he forgets how much time he doesn't have and sticks with us. And
That's
you
what
know what?
happens when you get those real jobs, man. That's how it
Absolutely.
works. That's how it works,
Absolutely.
man.
So joining us is none other than Mr. Nick Barajas, and I'll let you give all the credentials and titles and whatnot.
Introducing myself. All right. Yeah, I'm Nick Barajas. I'm a mental health therapist. All those letters after my name just mean licensed professional counselor, mental health service provider. That just means in the state of Tennessee, I can provide therapy and I can diagnose. All right. So like all those different disorders and conditions you hear about, like I can assess for that and help somebody understand what they're dealing with, so we can understand how to help better.
Which is exactly what we need.
Absolutely, absolutely. So please join the comments. I'll try to throughout the show make sure I put one Fred Sparkman's father again, the great boxer Sammy Sparkman's cash app up throughout the show. Of course, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number there, that's going to be throughout the show as well. But we really would like to hear from you all. And if you would like to hear from us, just kind of go back up to the beginning of the comments. I'm not sure how to pin it yet. I know, Mr. Rich, I'm working on it.
It's all good. Yeah.
But just
Y'all,
go
y'all, we learning. Understand that we're building something, and you guys are building it with us. You know what I mean? So, and it's for all of us. You know what I mean? You'll be able to see where it helps all of us a little bit later. Promise you. I love my city, and I love, so I'm hoping we can help. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So yeah, shout out to in the comments we got Miss Courtney Danielle. Hello, hello, Mr.
Hey,
Marlon
Courtney.
Clark.
What's happening, Courtney? What's
Yeah,
happening,
Marlon
Marlon? Ace?
Clark. There you
What's
go.
happening, sir?
So yeah, if y'all want to join in, share your stories or share your experiences. I mean, especially while we have this guy here, because I'll start this questioning off sort of. Sorry to put you in overtime, man. But yeah, so when we contacted you, one of the things you said back to us, because I asked you, what are the biggest problems out here, and you were talking about the stigmatizing of mental health help, right? Can you talk to the people a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's changing a lot with the younger generation now, but it used to be when I was growing up that you didn't talk about going to therapy. It used to be when I was growing up that you didn't talk about, I've got depression, I'm bipolar, I'm dealing with anxiety. That was something shameful. That meant there was something wrong with you. But that's the stigma. That stigma just means the negative associations that we've got on something. So destigmatizing just means learning how normal that is. Learning that every single one of us is dealing with something that maybe there's not a name for it, but every one of us is struggling in some way, and sort of accepting that. And when we realize, I tell my clients sometimes, if I could make everybody psychic, if you could read the thoughts of everyone around you and realize how many people are dealing with the same things that you are, you'd be a lot more comfortable stepping up and talking to somebody else about it, getting the help that you need.
Right. Absolutely. So one of the things we talked about, like getting that warm smile from Fred himself, right? And how that made me feel. And it was like this passing thing. How do you recognize that people need that? Because I know that you can get into a sort of like some people just want to be left alone, and it may not be as serious as this situation is. But how do we go about recognizing, like, what are some of the signs, I guess, that someone is struggling with some sort of mental health issue?
Well, when we're talking about suicide, especially, we're talking about depression. we're talking about those deep depths of, people think of it as sadness, but depression is so much more than just feeling sad, you know? I've heard people describe it as a weight on your soul.
Wow.
And the way that we recognize it, I mean, that's the wild thing about depression, is that it can look different in everybody. You think about people like Robin Williams or Anthony Bourdain, some of those celebrities who we've lost to suicide, and you never would have known. Some of the happiest people, some of the most successful people, but some of the things that we can watch for is people who start to withdraw. You know, as humans, we want human interaction. So when you start to notice that one of your friends isn't answering his phone, when you start to notice one of your friends just isn't enjoying the things that they used to enjoy, that should start setting off some signals for you. That's when you can start reaching out to somebody.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that, man. That's
And what
good.
would you say is a good way to talk to that person? You know, if I think I see some signs or signals or some things that I need to address, how do I communicate that with them?
This is one of the best lessons I can teach anybody. This is for helping your friends. This is also for young men trying to make a relationship work. The best thing you can ever say is, hey, I noticed that something is going on. Hey, I noticed that you're feeling some kind of way. If you want to talk about it, I'm here for you. If you want to talk about it, let me know. Because if you just go up to someone and say, hey, you seem depressed, tell me what's wrong, you know, people don't always respond well to that. But if you create that space and say, like, hey, I see you and I hear you and I want to be available for you, then you let them take that step and meet you in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like an open the door sort of thing. Like, hey, here's a space. Come on in if you want to. No pressure or anything like that.
Absolutely. Right? For a first step, especially.
So before the show, we were talking a little bit about you being you worked at a university and kind of the mindset of the youth sort of thing, right? What are some examples of depression? Because that's when you say, when we're talking about suicide, we're talking about depression. So what are some of the things that you're seeing on that level, that age group?
Yeah, so I work at the University of Tennessee as a therapist at the student center there, and I work with nothing but college kids, and there's a lot of depression. I'd say that's more than half of what I work with.
Wow.
You know? And honestly, there's a lot to be depressed about nowadays. You know, when you look around at the state of the world, and you know, especially these young people nowadays who don't believe that there's going to be a world left for them in 20 years, you know?
Right.
There's a lot to be said about, but, you know, depression sometimes is about something, but sometimes depression is just something that we're born with. Sometimes depression is genetic and biological, and there's no real reason for it. It just sort of crops up, and you got to keep an eye out for that too.
Absolutely. Man,
now
so
is it the individual's job to keep up with that, or is it up to the people around them? Because I mean, a lot of people, do you think a lot of people know or can acknowledge when they're in that place, or are they just there?
Yeah, so I think that goes to something that y'all were talking about earlier with, like, you don't want this to turn into a question of like who could have done what. Because at the end of the day, we are all responsible for ourselves, right? But there are things we can try to do. But at the end of the day, you gotta know what's going on in your own head. And that's part of the destigmatization thing too, is like, if we can learn about what depression looks like, what it feels like, you know, I'm sure there's thousands, millions of people out there who have depression and don't realize it. They just think, oh, I'm feeling kind of crappy today. Oh, I don't think I'm going to get out of bed today. You know, that old saying, got up on the wrong side of the bed. I feel like 90% of the time that was just depression, you know? So yes, it's good to know what it looks like so that we can help the people around us. But at the end of the day, you're not responsible for anybody else.
Absolutely. Broderick Neal Kenner says, I think one thing that should be addressed is the need to cultivate an atmosphere in which people are not afraid to ask for help. And yes, yes, you're right. Broderick Neal Kenner.
Yeah, what's up,
Roderick,
Patrick? Yeah, man.
hey,
So that's one of those things that that's what we were talking about before. Is we talked to clinical psychologist Megan Reese, who says a lot of the times that we don't understand that we need to teach ourselves how to think about ourselves. The example that was used with me was, I'm upset at the kids, and people just saying like, "Hey, you just got to control it." I'm like, that's just how I feel. But then someone else says like, "Yeah, but you could take your feelings to the gym," and it like blew my mind to think like, yeah, you can
That
work
was
your
nice.
feelings out,
That was
right?
nice how she said.
Right. Take your feelings to the gym. And so, what weights should we be lifting, mentally, especially to help build you know, that sort of tolerance, I guess.
well, I'll tell you the main thing we should do, especially, we all happen to be men. Not a lot of men having conversations about mental health. Men are not raised to know their feelings, right? If I have a male client and I ask them what they're feeling, they're going to say angry, sad, happy. That's it.
The
You
auto
know,
responses.
yeah. Well, and those might be true enough, but the fact is that we don't know our feelings. You could be feeling all kinds of shit and you don't have a word for it because we don't
Right.
spend time with our feelings. We don't spend time putting words to it.
Right.
So I think that's one of the best things
That's
we can
right.
do is spend some time with ourselves, recognize those feelings, and try to put words to them. I'm not
Yeah.
just feeling sad today. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling forlorn. I'm feeling drained and withdrawn. There's all different shades of feeling, and we don't even have the vocabulary for it.
Right. Now, what do you do about like a Wheels law of communication sort of thing? Where conversation can go wrong, it will go wrong. Like maybe speak a little bit about how bad we are at communicating and how that translates to communicating about and to ourselves.
Mm, okay. So it's about the way that we think, especially men. We tend to assume the worst. There's this idea called Hanlon's razor that I always like to talk about with my clients. It says, don't attribute to malice that which is best explained by ignorance. So there's always something somebody's trying to be mean, someone's trying to be rude to us, but really they just don't know better. I think we do that with ourselves a lot. We are so mean to ourselves. We are so judgmental of ourselves in ways that we would never be to somebody else.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's something I will say to people all the time. Like, okay, now what would you say to a friend if they said that to you? And they just look at me, well, like, oh shit, I'd slap them. You know, I would never let my friend talk about themselves that way, but it's okay for me to talk about myself that way.
Absolutely. Man, that is key right there, right? Because when we're talking about, what our words mean, there's some stuff out there, it's kind of kooky. It feels like science fiction to me. But the more that you do, the more you want to do physically, right? Mentally, if you say a certain thing over and over out loud, like it reaches you on a molecular level, right? I mean, it's
Right.
just strange to think that my bones have more density if I say to myself, I'm a person who lifts weights, I'm a person who's active. Like that actually has a physiological effect on the body, what we say and take in. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So if you're saying to yourself every day, I'm a piece of shit, nobody cares about me, nobody loves me,
Hmm.
why do I want to go on living?
Right.
That's soaking into your bones too.
And we'll
And
take a
please pay attention to that. Please pay attention to that. Like words are powerful, you know what I mean? And people say that a lot, but the older you get, if you've been growing older, like I've been growing older, then you know that to be true. Even if you've not gotten to where you practice that, you know. But let's start practicing that as a community. You know what I mean? Let's start practicing and normalizing, you know, speaking positivity to each other and manifesting in that.
And to ourselves.
And to
And to
ourselves.
yourselves and to ourselves. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
There's a and I can't speak for Fred. Again, we don't know what he was dealing with on what level, but I do see some, like, I know I've had this struggle before. You know, sort of the idea that, like, oh, you know, he's got this full scholarship, you know, had a full athletic scholarship to Vanderbilt University.
Talk about it. Let's talk about
I
it.
got
That's totally
there,
right.
had no clue what to expect or what to do. Literally, it was, I went to the All-Star camp for a couple of weeks and then directly to Vanderbilt. And when I walked in, they told me to put my entire life into a corner. Your stuff is out for you. You know, they already had my measurements and everything waiting for me in my locker. And it was get dressed, see you on the field in 10 minutes. It's like, what? Sir, I'm 18, you know? But, like, not realizing how, like, ill prepared I was academically. The football stuff I acclimated rather quickly because it's something I was used to doing. I enjoyed doing. But yeah, had an injury. It caused me to be redshirted instead of getting to play in the rotation, as a true freshman. And I never felt that before. I've been starting football since I started, which was in middle school.
Right.
The first time I went on the field, I started all 4 years in high school. That's all I've known, you know? And then that quickly changed to, like, I don't know what do you mean I can't play, you know? And so I found myself, like, looking back on it, I can put a label on it. I can understand what was going on there. But at the time, 18
Charles,
years old.
You're right about that. I see that. That's absolutely right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Charles Edward Richard. What's up, man? The third. Don't forget the third. Oh, boy.
Got to be strong with them jeans, look like.
Absolutely, man. I got a shot. So yeah, I remember just 18 years old and all this stuff going on in mentally, right? I lied to my coaches and my teammates. I faked my way through practices, and then just kind of curled up under a blanket and was just kind of staring. I remember, like, putting movies on, but I couldn't tell you what it was. I don't remember watching it. It was like this blankness, right? Didn't understand what was going on until I get kicked out, and then I came home and of course I had some support, but for the most part it was me making up things for myself of, like, oh, I failed everybody, the city was counting on me to be one of the ones to make it. It was crazy. Well, I got nothing but love. There was people just saying, like, oh, that's what happens, you get out there with them girls and drugs and alcohol and just couldn't handle it. See, you were too closed in, we never saw you at parties, and that was the reason, instead of just asking.
Everybody
but you know what? I wish I'd known you better back then because we were at Vandy at the same time.
Yes. Christina Sereno, another one of our classmates, But yeah, so that was one of those things of, I just really, that's when I started, like, self-medicating, because it was like, people think I'm doing it anyway. Let's try it out. What is this like? What does this do? And that went on for a few years. And I had plenty of opportunity to go other places. People get academically ineligible and they come back from it all the time.
Right.
But I just was not built for it. I had this chip on my shoulder. Like, no, I'm going back to Vanderbilt and Vanderbilt only. I'm going to fix this. Me, right? And it was this constant beating myself down about, how much I failed, right? I'm never going to make pro. And, I can't buy my mama a house and all this stuff, when my mama wasn't worrying about that, and she knew something was up. But so anyway, I started self-medicating and all that sort of thing. And it's just strange to think that I had so much support and so many resources around me that I didn't take advantage of, right? But this thought that it was right, it was kind of, I made this up for myself. And then I was driving myself crazy. And I really started to listen to friends and family who were close to me. And I called Sadiq Ziyad. Shout out to him, man. I'll always shout him out for this, even though he hates it. Man, it's no big deal. Just don't say nothing. So, he lived in Georgia at the time. And I remember kind of spiraling out. I was probably drunk, high, and all kinds of stuff. And literally was, I just thought to myself, when was the last time I felt motivated to do anything,
Mm-hmm.
and it was Sadiq Ziyad. Going up against him and just feeling that level of competition. So I called him and was like, "Hey man, I'm not sure where this is headed, but it's not to a good place. Do you have any space? Like, I just need to come clear my head." And without hesitation, yeah, man, come on. And so I got rid of car, and I got rid of a bunch of my belongings, and I moved to Georgia. And my family was just like, "No, it's right next to Atlanta. You're gonna get yourself killed and all this stuff." But it worked out. I got back into my Bible. I got back into like meditating and working out and having that like definiteness of purpose, right? And that led me to my wife and children, which is something I've always wanted. But I can't imagine how much that can weigh on somebody, like how much we put on ourselves, right?
Yeah.
I can't imagine how much we put on ourselves and we don't feel like it's okay to reach out. It always feels like I don't want to bother them, right? But yeah, Broderick, I see your comment, man. We'll get it up there again. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on that? What do you tell someone, like you said you wish you'd know me better? What are you telling 18, 19-year-old me?
Everything you just described there was like the textbook depression symptoms that I was talking about a second ago. First you withdrew into yourself. You said you're under a blanket, just watching movies, not doing anything. Like, there's different things that work for different people when it comes to depression. But one of the best things, and you kind of touched on it with your example there, was just getting out, getting around people who you care about, people who inspire you. I don't know what 20-year-old Nick would have done to help you back then, but I definitely wish that I would have been able to reach out to you, and Christy was there too. Knowing what I know today, I would have said, "Hey, you need someone to talk to. Hey, you need to get out of that room and come spend a little bit of time with me."
Right.
Hey, why don't we walk over across the street here to the counseling center and see if there's somebody there who can talk to you in a professional way.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. We'll go back to Mr. Kenner here. He says one of the things I learned along the way was to release the expectations that other people had for me. That trickled into my psyche and made me be a lot harder on myself. It takes time to get to a point where you realize that your life should be lived for you.
I'm quite certain that does take time. I think the average individual, man, we are worried about what people think, worried about what needs to be done in someone else's eyes. When I say what needs to be done, there's probably a plethora of things that really do need to be done that you're not doing, and you're worried about what somebody else is thinking about you doing.
Mhm.
And that'll take you to a bad place, man. And I'm not saying that with the psyche that I got it whipped. I certainly don't, but you must know it exists. You must know something exists before you can do better by it. And if I know that's a problem, when I see a situation, I try to analyze it as that, am I upset, or am I upset because you upset?
Whoa.
So
So he goes on to say, and I'm still in the process of tempering those expectations, but it is very freeing when that light bulb goes off.
absolutely.
It's a lifted weight. That is some
Absolutely.
good stuff. Are you saying, Mr. Appreciate that, Mr. Kenneth? Thank you for sharing, man. Hey, shout out to Charles again. Are you seeing Charles Richard, his post?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yeah. Go ahead, take this one.
Yes, I am. This one comes from Mr. Charles Richard. Shout out, Mr. Charles Richard. If you look at our faces, you might notice a similarity. It says, "I'm really liking this topic of mental health. Most people assume that you're crazy when you speak of mental health, but it's not that. It's not the case. It's difficult for some people to realize it or to admit that they have a problem and do need professional help to address the problem. I think first we need to focus on the fact that you are not crazy and need their assistance or the assistance of a professional.
So now we get into that destigmatizing, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Your thoughts on that, Mr. Barajas?
All I could think while I was reading that was how remarkable it is that there are 3 men here talking about mental health and 3 men of color talking about mental health. You know, like if you had to come up with the stereotype of a person who was not going to be comfortable talking about their mental health, it would be us. Right?
Right.
So there's a huge step right there. Like there's something is changing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
boy, that
Absolutely.
the journey
But
is
but,
long,
but
man.
what I want to understand and I want stressed and you know what I mean? Yes, something is changing. Something is changing. But we got to let go of that fear to communicate with each other, man. Because I'm not, you know, as far as my friends are concerned, you know, you might have to tell me don't call me no more. You know what I mean? Because, hey, man, I'm not going through this again. You know, I'm
Oof.
not going through this again. You know,
Right.
so you're gonna hear from me, and I hope I hear from you. You know what I mean? Reach out, talk to your people. You know what I mean? You ain't got to do nothing special. Just check on them every few days, man. What's up? You good? You know what I mean? Sometimes a person knowing, man, that they might receive a phone call, they might talk to somebody, man, that might help them get through their day. It doesn't have to be anything extreme. You know what I mean? But it's the little things sometimes. And like I said, I want this platform to be a place to where, you know, if you do have a problem of some sort, you know, and if it's something that we can handle with the people amongst ourselves, with the people that are joining this platform, you know what I mean? We're gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like I said, we need to post we need to post Mr. Sparkman's Cash App back up there again. And like I said, I don't say anything without doing it myself. I hit that Cash App the moment I saw that thing on the screen, and I did that because, yo, they going through a lot. They're going through a lot right now. This is a trial. This is one of the hardest. I can't even imagine this. You know what I mean? Put yourself in their shoes, and if you're not putting yourself in their shoes, hey, we talking about Fred Sparkman. Simple as that. We love this guy. You've always loved this guy. You know what I mean? Show love. Show love.
I appreciate that. And I love how so Mr. Barajas will put this comment up as well. Got the Mrs. Gales, the wife. Who bless her. She says that I find that fear is often at the center of most of our problems. Fear
Right.
of failure, fear of success, fear of others' opinions, etc. People often say that fear is a motivator, but more often than not, it is crippling.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
one with experience right there.
That's
So
right. Hey, if you in the comments or on the video, do us a favor, man, and like the video, share the video. We are new to this. This is our first podcast ever. It will get better day by day. It was not supposed to start today, but due to the event that took place, we need to talk. You know what I mean? We need to talk. We need to talk to each other. We need to talk to our community. You know what I mean? We brought in Mr. Barajas to give us a professional opinion and a better understanding on what it is that we're talking about, because we are talking, but we don't want to just throw things around and not know what we're talking about. You know what I mean? So we do appreciate you showing up.
I think Miss Gales there was onto something because fear rules all of us. You know, fear is, well, we talk about anxiety. That's all anxiety is. Anxiety is fear. Anxiety is fear, but it's really just your brain doing its job. That's what I always tell my clients. Our brain is supposed to look out for danger. Our brain is supposed to keep us safe and supposed to recognize patterns and anticipate our needs. So the only difference with somebody with real anxiety is that their brain is working too hard, right?
Right.
There's always something that we're afraid of. And she said there that people say fear is a motivator. To a certain degree, it is. You know, it's that thing that gets you up in the morning and makes you go to work. And
It's a motivator until it's a crippler.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So when we
Yeah.
talk about fear, when we talk about anxiety as a mental health issue, our goal is just bringing it down a little bit. You know, how many of us just can't even move sometimes because we're so afraid of the consequences? We're so anxious about what's going to go wrong, what I'm going to do to mess up next. just taking a breath, bringing that down a couple of notches so that it's motivating you instead of holding you back.
Absolutely. Motivating you instead of holding you back. Because I know we have to all feel that, right? It's one of those natural things that we all go through and feel.
Absolutely.
But man,
Absolutely.
so I want to talk
That's
about. Oh, go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that's an example too of something that can help with the whole destigmatizing as well, is when we share our experiences.
Mhm.
You shared your story earlier, and I pointed out how those were all the classic symptoms of depression. So when you tell your story of your depression, you're creating a space for somebody else to feel safe to come and share their story with you. How many people in the comments here have heard your story, and now the next time they see you, they're going to feel comfortable coming up with you like, hey, I felt just like that.
And as a matter of
feel
fact,
just
while
like
we're saying that, anybody in the comments, man, do me a favor. If you want to join in, click that link, click the StreamYard link in the comments. It's not posted, but if you scroll back up to the top of the comments, you'll find a link there. If you click that link, you can call in and appear on the show. We love to hear what you have to say. All right. We want your opinion.
Absolutely. Go ahead there, Mr. Barajas. I keep wanting to say it like Barajas. You remember Coach Witt? Shout out to Coach Witt out there.
Coach
Mr.
Witt.
Barajas.
Mr. Barajas. What you doing around here? Yeah. Shout out to Coach Witt, man.
Witt.
Which is a fun way of like checking on people, right? He was good about that. Hey, Mr. Gales. All right, now just making sure you're looking good now. Okay, go on to class now. So you don't want to stop at me, but those things are important to people. Just being seen and recognized.
Absolutely. Some, it's good to be a part of things, and and that's another thing, man. Like you said, none of us can speak for Fred. I wish I could speak to him. But when you're a part of a team your whole life, and then all of a sudden you aren't, and people aren't checking up on you and aren't there, that's tough. We come from a background that's how we got our strength. Fred is so, I believe he was so strong because we expected him to be, and sadly, like we said, fear, until it cripples you, it is a motivator. And I saw it motivate him all my life, as long as I knew him. I saw him motivated to get to the level that he felt like we expected him to be at. And I watched him do that. I watched him exceed that. You know what I mean? Very proud of my friend, man. Very proud of my friend,
Like, that's incredible. I like how you said, that we expected of him. Mr. Barajas, so when you hear my story, right, I could have easily had some things went differently. I could have gone to that very dark place, right? If some things went differently, I could have got involved in wrong things and, could have died another way. I had a classmate, rest in peace, Trevion Kinzer, who ended up getting killed because of that spiral. He's supposed to be an NBA player and get his family to a certain place. Like, we've had these conversations, right? But it never crossed our minds that we as a community may be putting too much on people, right, without the proper preparation. Absolutely. And then also the proper planning of, plan A, plan B. Like, now as an adult, all of my backup plans have backup plans, But then it was like, yeah, I'll do this thing. And then when that opportunity was gone, it was like this black void. I can't even explain it. Like, you just felt so what am I even doing here? What's the point? Why even, like you said, got up on the wrong side of bed. Why even get out of bed? What are you saying to people in the community as far as doing kind of something that Tony is talking about, which is all of us working together to create that space as a community?
Keep an eye on your strong friends. Check in on the strong friends, because we're always looking out for the friends who we think need it.
Mm-hmm.
The really strong ones, they're not getting that same check-in You know,
That's
I
true.
gave some examples of like different celebrities earlier.
Right.
But sometimes it's the ones that you don't expect. You know, depression looks different in everybody. I was diagnosed with depression when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
And when I tell most people who knew me back then, they
Mhm.
had no idea. I was this like outgoing, extroverted, active kind of person. But sometimes that's just hiding all of that hurt and all of that pain.
Absolutely. Shout out Clay Williams in the building. I see you joining in, man. Call in, man. Let us hear what you got to say.
Absolutely. So again, that's the cash out from Fred Sparkman's father, great boss, Mr. Sammy Sparkman. Um, if you do want to call in and comment, I know it's tough for a lot of people, but these are the conversations that are, because they're tough, that means that they're necessary,
Absolutely.
right? You can't get anywhere unless you're willing to risk some sort of offense or, risk being hurt in order to get to a place. So feel free to call in. Click that link. There it is. Scroll up to the top. We'll get more organized there. But like Mr. Rojas is saying, and what Chulo was saying, building that community is important, and this is what we're trying to attempt. And I think that can manifest in many different ways. Before the pandemic is, you go and you have coffee with a group of friends, or you watch the same TV show and talk about it over the phone, whatever that is. Just find that space. You know, but
Absolutely.
before we go any further, because I'd be remiss if I didn't add this as well. So, the alumni there, class of 2003, which is Fred Sparkman's class, of course, and the Columbia Central football program will honor and remember Fred Sparkman on August 8th, 2021. That is tomorrow at Lindsey Nelson Football Stadium at 5 p.m. They're asking everybody to please bring purple and gold balloons. Now, I was saying this on the last show because I saw a couple of bad situations. Make sure they got helium, people. You want these balloons to fly, not just roll around, pop on the ground. I've seen this happen. I'm speaking from experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the extra 32 cents on the helium.
Get it right. Let's
Yeah,
get it right.
yeah. So we'll leave that scrolling at the bottom for a little bit there. But tomorrow night at Lindsey Nelson Football Stadium, 5 p.m. Bring purple and gold balloons, and they're going to be that alumni class is getting together, and they're going to honor one of their greats.
Man, the amount of smiles he put on people's faces, in that field, and not just there, and on the basketball court there as well, but man, he ate that football field alive, and we all know it. I got
He felt
a clip, man. I got in my brain. I got a still shot. It was a newspaper clip of Fred stiff arming a guy, man, and the guy's body is vertical. You know what I mean? The guy's goodness, he must have hit him so hard, but
it. Right.
I miss seeing it, man. I miss seeing it, man.
Man, let me tell you, but just like I love how there's always like nobody's just one thing, right?
Right,
There's always something. We're a conglomerate of what's going on inside. Like I told you, I'm 6'4" at the time, probably 260, 270, right? And this man picked me up above his head, turned me
right,
sideways, and all I felt was like this whoosh,
right.
towards the ground. Just stopped and laid me down. Hey, what's up, big fella? God,
Oh
dog.
man, that's I got part of my whole manning up. You know, man, we almost fought, man. It wasn't gonna be. It wasn't gonna be the happiest moment I went through. You know what I mean? But I had to stand up for myself, and he made me do it, and it was to him, you
Mhm.
know. But it was one of them situations where he was gonna fight me if I didn't stand up for myself. So I'm like, all right, But I was never afraid of anybody else after that, ever, you know.
So let that be an opportunity for destigmatizing too. You know, people think mental health struggles, mental illness is a sign of weakness. The strongest people you will ever know have struggled with this.
Absolutely,
Maybe even more so because they got more on their shoulders, you know?
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely.
I
You
like
said
that.
something earlier about the pressure of the whole city. You know that and people, as you get older, you have plan A and plan B, but people don't always have that. Death is nobody's first choice.
Absolutely.
And I hope you all will forgive me for using this word again, but I think it's important to take the power away from the word suicide.
Mm.
Nobody ends their life by suicide because it was their first choice. You know,
Right.
somebody who goes down that road believes that there's no other choice left.
Right.
And that's something I tell my clients, like, sure, suicide is an option, but it is never the best one.
Right.
You know, some people are just looking for someone to catch them on the way down. So just being that handout, just being that person who's like, hey, how you doing? Hey, Mr. Barajas, how you doing? You know, that might be enough to give someone a bit of pause and say, like, well,
It is,
let me
man.
talk to you instead.
I promise it is, man. I worked with a guy, it's an old African man named Kit. You know what I mean? And anybody who knows Africans, they have a different type of culture. You know what I mean? And I'm guessing they have a different type of culture because they actually have a culture. We'll talk about that on another show. But when I would come to work, you know, and anybody knows me, that's, you know, that whatever. I was trying to get acclimated to that, right? You know what I mean? And I wasn't feeling it. I'm coming in there, I'm not liking it and this and that. But I would see him and he would say, good man, good man,
Mm.
good to see, good man. And when
Right.
he said it so much that I started to feel it. Like, okay, yeah, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm here, good man. All right, let's get to work. Let's do it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, I am a good man.
sometimes, man, it's little things, man, but that's what it takes. You know what I mean? Iron sharpens iron, and we got to be here for each other to keep each other sharp. You know what I mean? So,
I like what Mr. Richard has said here, how you always had to be tough, a rough guy, be a man. We got to redefine what that means to be a man. You know, be a man doesn't mean choking down your feelings and taking out your anger on your wife and kids, you know. To be a man, to be a good man, like you said, that is to be somebody who cares for other people, somebody who takes care of other people, somebody who's there, somebody who builds up, not somebody who tears down. Like we got to be working on what that means.
Absolutely. You know, my wife is in the banking industry, and I remember saying this firsthand myself, my own experiences. But she talks often of people leaving money and property to their children, and a lot of the times, what usually happens is, well, I need to leave more to this kid because they're a bit of a handful. You know, they don't have their stuff on, you know, going well. So we're gonna leave them more money. We're gonna leave them in the house. So because we worry about them more, right? Because we don't need to leave it to the other person because they're responsible, they're strong, they know what they're doing, you know, all this sort of thing. And it just always tears her up inside. You know, us starting our company, we made sure that our children have equal share right away. Paperwork. You know, that's one of those things that's just, it's incredible. Like you said, you know, I love that idea of check on the strong men, the people who are always laughing, joking, you know, men about town, you know, man's man, all this stuff. Check on these people, you know?
yeah.
Sometimes
And
it's
I
hiding something.
understand that's necessary too, man, because once you build a image, you try to keep it, you know. And if your image is the strong guy, you want to be strong. You know, no matter what you're going through, you're gonna present yourself as a strong guy. You know, I spoke to Fred last month, and I got no inkling that he wasn't feeling himself because he's a strong guy. He's not gonna put that on me or anybody else. You know, but listen, if you or anyone around, if you know that feeling is in the air, damn all the pride and all of the, you know, let's get rid of that, man. Yeah, let's get rid of that. You know, I want to see you tomorrow. You know, if that takes me helping you, I'm more than willing. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of people who are willing to help. You know, a lot of people, they just got so much pride. You know, that reaching out for help just ain't an option. But you gotta let that go. You gotta let
Absolutely.
that go.
Absolutely. And so I want to be mindful of your time, Mr. Barajas. you want to give us a last word before we let you go? We definitely appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely. Thank
You
you very
know,
much.
one key thing, if you can tell anybody anything in this moment, what are you telling them?
Your job is not to save your friend. Your job is not to save anybody, but be there for the people when you can. Um, don't be afraid of the word suicide. Don't be afraid of this idea because that just gives it power. You know, don't be afraid to ask your friend, like, hey, you've been thinking about death. You know, I come up with all kinds of creative ways to ask my clients that, like, you know, you've been having thoughts like maybe it'd be better off if I didn't wake up tomorrow.
Hmm.
Just start the conversation somewhere. And then it's not your job to fix it. It's just your job to listen. And then you can help somebody find the help they need. Right here, scrolling at the bottom, National Suicide Prevention Lifeline.
Absolutely.
You know, that'll connect them with a professional, with somebody who can help. Take care if you've got the resources, if in any way possible, take advantage of mental health resources. Come see somebody like me. You know, the therapist isn't always some stuffy guy who's going to make you lay down on a couch and tell you
That's right. I
about.
like it. I like it.
Come find somebody who you feel comfortable with, who's a professional, so you don't have to put all of it on your friends.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do something because the world needs you here.
Absolutely.
That's powerful.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us. We got more comments. Mr. Blake Brown says someone who takes care of themselves, right? It's just self-care is important, man. But thank you so much for joining us. We'll go ahead and let you go.
Absolutely. Africa
We have
Johnson,
to talk
thank
again.
you.
Thank you all so much for having me. You're doing something great here. Keep it up.
Appreciate it.
man.
Have a good night.
Hey, I just want to ask the people in the that are watching the live and in the chat. I would love for some of y'all to join in. Let me know in the chat. Are you having difficulty joining in? Are you not able to figure out how to get to the link? Let me know what's going on so I can figure this out and we can try to make this easier for everybody. I want this to be an interactive thing. I don't want this to be something that you just sit back and you watch. No, I want to talk to you. I want
Yeah.
you.
So he's got some technical difficulties there. But yeah, we want you guys to take this show from us. Okay. We want y'all to take the show from us. Scroll up to the top of the beginning, I guess I should say, because it's different on different devices. But the beginning of the comment section. Oh, we got him back here. Welcome back, Mr. Rich. At the beginning of the comment section, what we want you to do is just click the link, follow the prompts. If you're having trouble, I think you have to have Google Chrome on whatever device you're using. But follow the prompts, put your name in. You can just come on and you can just be it could just be audio if you're not
if you are in the bed and you got your shower cap on, ladies, you bonnet, what you call it? I don't know what you call it. Just click in and click in and cut your camera off. You know what I mean? And just let us hear what you got to say. But we want to talk to you. You know what I mean? Like you said, we want you to eventually take this show from us. You know what I mean? We might pop in with some things to talk about, but we want to talk to you about them. You know what I mean? We don't want to talk at you about them. We want to talk to you about them. You know what I mean? So click in and holler at us.
Yeah, so I want to discuss this comment in particular. This is what we want to be careful of. Miss Johnson. She says that Fred was my daughter's godfather and I miss him dearly. I don't know how we missed it. If you were listening earlier, that's one of the things we have to watch out for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are talking about how to recognize it in someone else, check on the strong man, right? Just you don't have to be all up in their business or anything like that, but just make sure they know they have a safe space to communicate to you. But you can't go about this beating yourself up because then it just becomes a vicious cycle that continues. So be very careful of that. And thank you so much for joining us. Marlon Clark, thank you so much for that.
Do me a favor and drop the link again, okay, if you could. And let's try to get it. Let's try to give our audience a chance to get in this.
I see you, Mr. Richard. He said, "Bring me up to par. Call me." So, Mr. Johnson, I'm gonna I'm gonna go back in because what happens if you try to copy and paste it too many times? It does a weird little. It doesn't pop up as a
Oh,
link. But I'm gonna put it up here
okay.
now, and you guys let me know whether or not it it works for you.
Now, when
So
you
there's
guys
the
see that
link.
link hit the comments, just click on it,
Yeah.
and
So
it
there's
should
the link.
take you to follow some prompts.
So I just sent it from my Facebook page. There's the link right there. You click it, and it'll say, if you have Chrome already, go this way. If you don't, you get Chrome, Google Chrome. You
Broderick
put your
Kendall
name on. You
Neal.
give it his permissions. Say again.
I saw Broderick said he was on the road. Be safe, man. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Quit texting, man. Gum it. Gum it,
Be
brother.
safe out there, brother.
So yeah, man, and that's fine. That's fine. It's just about getting something started. We don't know what this is, where it's going to. We just know
Absolutely.
that we're a couple of brothers that's trying to figure things out in front of people, so you can look at our success, our failures, and help
Absolutely.
us succeed, and we can help you succeed. That's all we're trying to do here.
And the thing about it is, you can have as many ideas as you want to have. If you don't start moving your feet, nothing matters. So, um, this idea is one that we have been working on, and we were going to bring to light no matter what. But like I said, the what happened is something that needed to be talked about, and it needed to be talked about from a space of, number one, remembering our friend, remembering our brother, remembering our comrade, remembering our loved one. You know what I mean? And secondly, getting our head wrapped further around, the idea of just checking in on your people, and understanding that it's not always what it seems. You know, most of the time people put on a smile. You know what I mean? If that's
Absolutely,
really your friend, really your people, you know them, and don't turn a blind eye to, you know, he'll be all right. You know, and a lot of the times when people are strong, when people are anything, let's say, you know, I could use finances. You know, let's say you got a few more dollars than the next person, and I loan you $20. You're looking at me like, he good. I ain't gotta. No, that's not how people's lives work. You don't really know what it is that they have going on. You respect people for them, not for your idea of them. You know.
absolutely. So we have somebody in the back studio. We're gonna bring you on. Just
All
hang in there,
right.
Mr. Charles Richard. You should still be able to see and hear us. And once we bring you onto the screen, then everyone will be able to see and or hear you. One of those things while you're getting prepared there, one of those things that we anybody who's flown before, how they tell you, like, in the case of emergency and the oxygen mask drop down, to
Right.
be sure to put your mask on first before you assist the others around you.
Right.
And so that's why I'm very sensitive to comments like Miss Africa Johnson, right? Who's saying like, I don't know how we missed it, right? I wonder what I could have done. That's sort of that line of thinking. It's really about making sure self is okay. Check in with self, understanding how to think about how you think about yourself, right? And
Absolutely.
then you start to expand it out, check on my household, my neighbors, my community, my city, my state, the world, wherever, however far your sphere is, right? And so I just want to make sure that we're all doing that same thing. Make sure self is good, and then just check on people and give them that space. As we
Absolutely.
welcome to the show, Mr. Charles Richard. How are you, sir?
Well, our first
Oh,
our first outside guest.
yeah.
What was
Nope.
it? Is it? We
It's
have a little
loading. It's
difficult.
trying. It's trying. That's okay, Mr. Richard. You just
Okay.
keep on trying. Again, I posted a link. Just click the link, follow the
Yeah.
prompts.
Anybody else? Anybody else, man? Click that link and jump in and chop it up with us, man.
Yeah. So if you do not have Google Chrome, make sure you get Google Chrome. If you do have Google Chrome, that's weird saying Google. If you do have Google Chrome, you will click the top link, which will lead you right to us. And you can come on video or audio, but you have to give permission to your phone to allow video or audio, whichever you choose and comfortable with. But so far, doing a brief recap, the biggest things that I got out of that conversation with Mr. Barajas was first of all, destigmatizing, right? What we think about what being a man is, what being a woman is. We have to start sort of taking our brain, our thoughts, our feelings to the gym and figure out how to properly think about ourselves
And
and others.
absolutely. And while we on the topic of destigmatizing, we got to destigmatize a lot of stuff. Our community thinks a lot of dumb shit. You know what I mean? And we've been holding on to it for years, but it's time to put a lot of that stuff to bed, man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It just is what it is. A lot of them stigmas is killing us. You know what I mean? In a lot of different ways. You know what I mean? The let's be gangster stigma. You know what I mean? For what? To
Right,
go to jail? To lose all your personal possessions?
right,
For what? You know what I mean? Like we have a lot of stupid ideals. You know what I mean? And as a community, we got to start holding each other accountable for saying, "Hey, man, that's stupid. That's not cool." You know what I
right.
mean? How do you really want your son and your daughter to grow up?
Mm. That's a good way of putting it.
You can talk all this. This was cool. That's cool. This is cool. You got a son and a daughter. How you want them to grow up? You know what I mean? So be real about it. You know what I mean? All this other stuff, it's bullshit. You know, and
Right.
the sooner we normalize bullshit as bullshit,
Mm.
it'll make real. You know what I mean? So
Yes, sir. Mr. Richard, keep trying with you. Let's try to just. Sorry about that. I'm gonna kick you
I'm
out.
not sure.
That's just a
Yeah,
term.
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna
So
cut the
have to go out
connection
and
with.
see if we can bring them back in. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hang on,
make sure
Tony.
you're
Hang
on.
on. So we're
Okay,
gonna.
okay.
I'm gonna actually like remove you. I've removed you from the broadcast. We'll remove you from the video. Just click back on the video, and then I'll put a fresh link in there. Let's try that. Make sure if you're at home, Wi-Fi is best. If you have a direct connection, that's even better. So just kind of follow that, and we'll be right back with you.
Absolutely.
Boom. Okay, there he goes. And appreciate that, Marlon Clark. He said facts.
Absolutely.
And then my wife is back in the comments. Hello, dear. She says, "Did you know that Fred could sing?" That's what I think of when I think of Fred Sparkman. Yeah,
Well, I
look
didn't
at
know
that.
that.
I didn't know that. Yeah, so
I
my
didn't
wife
know that.
was. What were you in choir,
When did
Ash?
you get to hear him sing?
Man, big old deep boys. You know,
Yeah, I bet.
I
I
never got
bet.
the privilege to hear that, but anytime she tells me that, I was tickled. I
No,
got
I
to ask
didn't.
him about it once. He was like, "Man, look, man, we'll call it." Whoa, bro.
I
Is
bet,
this
man.
Fred Sparkman? Yeah, because y'all had the solo show. It was probably about, I mean, which is so strange to think. Some mere months ago, we
Right,
were planning on. I was trying to get in contact with Shaq Mason and Dante Smiths of the world to kind of show the positive and people who make it and give kind of a behind the scenes of recruitment and all sorts of things.
right.
And I wanted myself, Sydney, and Fred to get on to talk about kind of the negative aspect, what to look for, what to watch out for, things like that. Oh man, she's back in the comments, Tom. Sorry, Chulo Rich. Yeah, so she says he sang to me on the bus. He was a tenor.
Wow,
Okay, sorry, not a bass. Excuse me, a tenor.
wow. I did not know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I knew he was, musically inclined.
Mm,
As most of us are, but I'd never heard him sing. You know what I mean? He never did that. Never heard him do that.
man. I would love for some other people to get in and talk about some little known facts sort of thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because I
Absolutely.
did not know that.
So you got one of those things happening where, again, what we hope this show becomes, right? It's just a safe space where we can discuss many topics. I mean, it's in the
Absolutely,
name. It's urban academia. right? So we want to learn, we want to debate, we want to get fired up, get each other, and just really figure out, some moves here, right?
Yeah.
Africa Johnson, hello, lady. Back in, she says, super, super talented. Absolutely.
Very
Absolutely.
much so. Very much so.
Which is one of those crazy things. Like my 16-year-old is one of these people too, who just whatever she tries can do. And her biggest thing is like, well, I'm not sure what I want to do. It's like all these different options. Shoot, just pick one and run with it. That's how you want to think about it on the outside. But me trying to be a better parent and learn how to just, okay, well, how about we try this? How did that feel? Okay, well, let's try something else, and so on and so forth until we find something that sticks. I can see that in Fred. As Africa Johnson says, a beast on the field. Now, listen, Miss Johnson, you're triggering me right now. I was 1 year beneath him, but I played at Spring Hill High School. Okay.
Hey, you know what I do remember watching him do that? And I thought about doing it, but I didn't do it. But I liked to see him do it. Man, he would do that the high jump and track.
Wow.
Man, he cold.
The 100.
It's being so big, getting up over that bar like that and having that much speed, man. Like, dude was a freak athlete, man.
Absolutely, man. So with ease he would clear that, and with ease he looked like when he ran 100, it didn't look like he was giving any effort. Afterwards, kind of looking over, I saw him weak to a girl standing next to me. I was just like, "Hey man, I ain't like that." You just see him go from like, there you go. Then I said, "Hey man, I ain't like that." He just the glare, right? I mean, just a funny guy. There's so much he could do, right? And I wish I could have gotten a better chance to know him better. I think after he had this ordeal at North Carolina, and I got kicked all the way out of Vanderbilt. Like anytime we saw each other, it's like, man, like we had this like understanding of like, we could have done it. We could have done it, But those are the things. Super talented, and Miss Johnson, I'm triggered because we were very close to beating him his senior year. We wanted that so badly. 1 point, we had a guy miss a field goal, which. No big deal. It happens, but really close.
It happened.
Really close.
We remember.
But I remember him hitting one of my teammates specifically. I'm not gonna say his name. Say again.
CHS. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Enough of him. So that's the power I will. CHS. So honestly. I remember him hitting my teammate and literally like lifting him off of his feet. And like there was a crack in his helmet. The thing that's supposed to be protecting his skull that is protecting his brain. He cracked it. And I remember us watching it. We're watching film, after the loss and trying to pick out some things. How can we improve? All that stuff. And even the coaches ran that play over and over and over again. And my friend's like, I didn't even remember. So let me put her comment back up here. Super talented. Check. A beast on the field. I lived that life. Y'all got to watch safely on the sidelines and cheer him on and all that stuff. Right?
You say you was a target.
I was on the field with that dude. Oh my goodness. Oh, look. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I see
it too. I saw it. I knew you was going for it.
Listen, my wife, ladies and gentlemen, actually, she graduated with she's part of that 03 class at Columbia Central. She had my daughter in a Columbia Central hoodie the other day. And I just kind of glared. I was like, you better take that off in this daggum house. And of course I got outnumbered and she wore it proudly. But yeah, man. So yeah, I'm glad y'all got to enjoy my pain by watching him terrorize us. But we got y'all next year. We had to wait for him to get out of there, daggum, but we got that W.
Oh yeah. I remember one game. Fred was the reason I learned how to set a screen, and it was it was one practice, man. And when you young, and the coaches, some no shots and nothing like that, but you know,
Mm.
coaching is a skill, and you have to teach in order to to do that. You know, if you don't teach them what it is that they're doing, they don't know. So having them run to X's on the floor, that does nothing. You know what I mean? Well, Fred set a screen on me one day, and after that, I realized, oh, this is what they want me doing. My neck, oh my God, like I felt
Right.
whiplash right there on the spot. But after that, I was like, oh, this is what they want from me. This
Oh,
is what
this
they want.
is what it's supposed to
And then
feel like.
after that, setting picks was it was a tragedy for others. You know what I mean? It was a tragedy for others.
I don't know who the guard was who was rubbing off the shoulder, man, because that's very much important, right? Your guard understanding how to really get up to that screen and lead his man into that brick house.
hmm
It's
hmm
terrible.
Yeah, once I really learned what it was, and there was somebody like Fred setting the screen or something. Oh man, it was just happy because I know
Mhm.
exactly what's about to happen. You know what I mean? You're not going anywhere through this.
You don't
Like
know what's happening.
you're gonna
Yeah,
stop.
well, if they would have watched any football games, they should have been prepared anyway. I don't know how you're not watching watching film. Marlon Clark says, "I remember that,
Shout
bro."
out, bro. Yeah, I remember.
I don't know. I don't really know how you sound, Mr. Clark, but to me, that's what man. I remember that, bro. Like, whew,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
talking from my experience, you know. But
Absolutely.
yeah, but man, so there's the guy, right? That's a whole lot of in one person
Yeah.
who could hurt your neck in the screen, lift a 200+ pound dude over his head, and gently lay him on the ground like he's a little baby. You know,
Yeah.
cracking people's helmets and still like fast enough to run 100. Like that's a lot in one person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one thing we've got to look at is how do we look at people like that and think, hey man, they may need a hug too. They
That's
may
it.
need to
That's
yeah,
it. You know what I mean? Looking at him, you think, oh, he's too strong for that. You know, he don't need a word of encouragement. He don't need a hug. He don't. Yes, he do. He's human like the rest of us. You know what I mean? And we all need that. And I hope that we can all gather here, from the time and if I can't hug you physically, maybe I give you a digital joint. You know what I mean? I give you a digital hug. You know what I mean? Just talking to each other. You know what I mean?
my
Maybe
man
that could
said a
help.
digital hug.
Hey man, we gotta do what we gotta do out here, man. Out here in these
Absolutely.
COVID streets, I can't hug like that anyway, right? We gotta,
Well, that's a whole nother monster. But yeah, man, I
yeah,
hope
out here.
y'all join us week to week. We're gonna try to do this thing at least once a week. My main man Tony, if you know Mr. Chulo Rich there, he is always full of ideas. So you'll probably be seeing a lot more of him real soon here.
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
And I'm asking you to support us. You know what I mean? What I have planned is for us. It ain't just for me. Um, I what I see in this benefits us. You know what I mean? So let's get active. Let's get active in this thing and
yeah, absolutely, man. I know we got some technical difficulties going there, but one more time before we get out of here, we will be remiss. First of all, we want to point out that National Suicide Prevention Lifeline 800-273-8255. If you don't feel like you can talk to baby mama, significant other, whatever, right? You don't want to pay money to go to a therapist. This is the number you call. It's the national number, and they'll direct you to something local. National
absolutely
Suicide Prevention Lifeline 800-273-8255. Talk to somebody.
talk
You
to
know,
somebody.
of course, we're gonna put in the scroll again before we get out of here. Make sure that we bless the Sparkman family.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So there's
If you're able to, man, go ahead and send something to that cash app, man. It's a tough
absolutely. So
situation. We need each other's help to get through it.
right, what the family is asking is that you donate to the great boxer Sammy Sparkman, Fred's father. His cash app, which is right there, is just Sammy Sparkman. You know, yeah, just bless him. And if you can't do that, we understand. Say something to him on social media. Give him some love out there. I'm sure people are already doing it, but there's no need for this to stop. We shouldn't wait for this sort of thing, this sort of tragedy to happen before we're, as Mr. Rich was saying earlier, off air, give them his flowers while they're alive.
Absolutely.
Check on your
Absolutely.
people.
Normalize that as well. We're talking about normalizing things, Give people their flower while they're here, because when they die, it's over. You know what I mean? All conversation that you're having is null and void. Give people their flowers while they're here. You know what I mean? And when I say their flowers, that comes in a lot of different ways. You know what I mean? Flowers could be help. You know, but whatever you feel like a person is in need of that you can assist them with, do it. That's what we're here for. Otherwise you'd be here walking around by yourself, and you're not. So since you're not, let's utilize each other.
Absolutely. So again, tomorrow night, be sure to go and support the class of 03 alumni. I've got it at the bottom of the scroll there. They're going to be the alumni class of 2003 in Columbia Central football program will be honoring and remembering Fred Sparkman tomorrow night at Lindsey Nelson Football Stadium at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. They're asking people to please bring purple and gold balloons. Don't forget to put helium in them. We want these things to fly. All right, so bring your purple and gold balloons, your stories, and just help each other. Let's support each other as a community. Okay, and just remember, self-check yourself. Self-care is important. Yeah, that's all we got for you tonight. Mr. Rich, last word. Look at that.
We love y'all, man. We love y'all, man. Do what you gotta do, man, for the people that matter. You know what I mean? Do what you gotta do for those that matter. You know what I mean? Say hi. Say hi. Say hi. I think Granddaddy can see you. Uh-oh.
All right. So appreciate that, man. Thanks to our guests, of course, Mr. Rocky Barajas, even though he went to UT or is teaching at UT. Appreciate everybody in the comments, Miss Johnson, Mr. Clark, Broderick, and my main man Brandon and Charles. Like, you got 17 riches in there, man. I don't know which is which. Mr. Blake Brown, check him out. Dad Tough, Miss Courtney Danielle, just everybody. My wife, Mrs. Gales. Just appreciate y'all and stick with us. This was really gonna work well if you guys engage.
Stick with us. Hey, and tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend. You know what I mean? We really want to talk to all y'all. You know what I mean? We really want you engaged. I appreciate y'all engaged in the chat like that tonight. But I want you calling in. I want to see you. I want to talk to you. I want to know what you think. You know what I mean? It's cool to hear what we think, but we know we talk to each other all the time. I want to hear what you think.
Absolutely.
You know,
and how the engagement is going to really take off. If throughout the week, jump on the What the Frout, page there. Let's Talk with Gales and Dean. You can reach us on our personal pages, hit us in our inbox, text us, whatever you need to do.
That's right.
And
if you got
let us know what you want to talk about.
Right. You want
to let us know what you want to talk about, because we want to talk about what you want to talk about.
That's what we're here for. Absolutely.
All right. Peace.